Okay, 1, 2, 3, action. Okay, what is up guys? Fahan here with Zah once again, and today we have brother Nurham here. How are you?
Hello, hi.
Nice to meet you, brother Nurham. And this is a rare bike for me lah. I don't know about Zah, but for me the GSR
GSR.
Okay, GSR 400 I thought at first when I saw this bike, it was like, alamak, like how to say, this bike I never see anymore, you know, very old bike. What do you think, Azhar?
You know, usually Farhan, before we do any bike reviews, I usually will read up a little bit about the bike beforehand,
correct.
you know. So, during my free time all this while, prior to this, I was reading up on the wrong bike. I was reading up on the GSX 400. Then I come, alamak, GSX 400, alamak. I was like, okay, bummer. But I've seen this bike before. You know, I used to work with an uncle who used to ride the 600. The 600 cc version.
And fun fact, the 400 and 600, you cannot really tell them apart other than the what did you say just now?
Okay, basically the 400 and the 600, they are using the same body chassis. Okay, the only difference is that the engine capacity and of course the 600, I mean this is the original pipes. So the 600 has a bigger twin pipe. Other than that, it's
almost the same.
all the same, yes.
Yeah, so before brother Nurham tell us his story about his GSR 400, we're gonna give a bit of introduction about it.
Built from 2006 to 2017, the Suzuki GSR 400 is derived from the GSR 600 and initially developed for the Japanese market before being exported in limited quantities to certain countries. A standard class of motorcycle, the GSR 400 is styled as a street fighter with an engine retuned for mid-range power as well as higher torque. Engine is a 398cc water-cooled 4-stroke inline-4 4-cylinder DOHC with fuel injection and a 6-speed manual transmission. In Singapore, the Suzuki GSR 400 is somewhat a rare sight, and especially currently as the bike is no longer in production.
Okay, so brother Nurham, how long did you ride the GSR 400 and why did you buy it?
Okay, I've been riding this for I think not that long lah. I think coming to 2 years. The reason why I bought this bike, okay, because previously I used to ride a Suzuki myself.
Okay.
So in terms of reliability wise, engine ruggedness, I believe that Suzuki is one of the top notch in terms of ruggedness. Okay. So previously I was riding the Suzuki GSX R400L model.
The bike that I was reading up.
So that one of those, some people out there they label the bike as a dinosaur bike. You know, with the flat tank, you know, you can put your nasi bungkus on top. See, but then that bike was very can say it's one of those legendary bikes. Okay, so prior to this bike, I've not been riding for 12 years, I'm to 13 years. Okay, then when I start, I mean, one thing riding has always been there in me. I enjoy riding motorbikes. So when I wanted to restart my motorbike adventure again, I was looking around for 400cc inline 4 bikes. So I was like looking at this Honda Super 4. One thing is very common, reliable bike. It's a very good bike.
True. You can never go wrong with a Super 4.
Yes. Correct.
So, but I was quite surprised by the price. Because it's a good bike, yes. But for a used bike, for a second hand bike, I felt that okay, so it's not within my budget. Alright.
How much was it quoted to you? I mean that time when you were serving.
If I can still remember, there's one incident that I chanced upon this one Super 4 Spec 3. It's a more than 10-year-old bike. Okay, very nice, you know, nicely maintained, you know, of all the full accessories. So, but the price really in a way like, okay, 14k.
14k for
14,000. Yeah, for a more than 10-year-old is a COE bike lah. Consider more than 10 years old. So I was a bit put off, like, wow.
Well, you can actually buy a brand new 2B class 2B bike, you know.
Okay, guys, just be clear, we are still talking about another bike, Honda Super 4.
Honda CB 400.
Yeah.
SF.
Okay.
Right, so right, so that aside, I say okay, never mind. Alright, I will just still continue as long as whatever is within my budget lah. So I was looking at Carousel, then I chanced upon this bike. Then one Malay brother lah, say selling this bike, so met up with him. Then when I saw this bike, I was like, I mean, with the full fairing, actually this full fairing not done by me, okay, was done by the previous owner. So I said, this is something unique lah.
Yes.
Alright, and I always have this kind of thing for something which is not common lah. Okay. So
So it's love at first sight lah.
in a way lah. And engine was still good, you know. So okay
Why
lah.
not?
Just go for it lah.
So don't mind me asking, even the Tron content also, the
Yes, all not from me but from the previous owner.
Okay. It's
it's
cool,
a
man.
unique color scheme
Yeah.
Very cool, man. In terms of the handling of this bike, would you be able to describe this bike as compared to the previous bike that you have rode before, or maybe something similar to its range, or maybe you can compare this with another bike of the same class?
Category.
Alright. I mean, okay, before I go further, I say again, this is up to the rider's taste or the feel. Okay, I've never owned a Super 4 before, alright, but I've ever ridden a Super 4, I mean a friend's bike or this. So if you were to compare in terms of handling, right, anytime I can say that this bike handles the corner, alright, much better. Right, in terms of stability, it's just how you open your throttle. You just aim for your angle and you just open your throttle and the bike will just glide through. Most probably because of its weight. Okay. If I were to compare this bike with Honda Super 4 CB400, okay, yes, this bike weighs much heavier.
Yes. Just now I was pushing this bike quite heavy.
Alright, it's heavier. Okay. Then it doesn't, unlike the Super 4, okay, it doesn't have any VTEC technology. Alright, so it's just basically using a raw inline 4 power.
I see.
Okay. So I think all this while I've been riding this bike, I've like bumped onto so many Super 4 riders. Always kena disturb kacau. Say, hey brother, you riding one dinosaur bike? Hey bike, what bike? Even Apik also came up to me and say, what bike you riding? Yeah, so that one in terms of performance. Then distance wise, of course, not here in Singapore lah. Alright, if you want to really see the power of this Suzuki GSR, okay, or even previously my previous dinosaur bike, the GSX R400, alright, when it comes to distance, it can really gives you that speed for a 400 class 2A bike.
I see.
Yeah, but of course, due to its weight, okay, you can't compare in terms of the pickup acceleration if you were to compare to a Super 4.
Is it stable at high speed?
Yes.
In terms of shakiness, vibration?
Yes, okay. Personally, this bike, I've ever pushed it beyond 2. Alright, still very firm.
I won't be surprised because Suzuki has the Hayabusa. So I'm sure some of the technology is used in this bike also.
It was only beyond that then I start to feel the vibration there. So again, sometimes also it depends on the rider lah. Some riders, they are much more daring. They can really max out the bike, then yeah lah.
Okay, so brother Nurham, how's the fuel consumption like for the GSR 400? Oh, you laugh already. Something bad, I guess.
Consumption. Okay, consumption. It's a guzzler lah. Alright. Okay.
It's a petrol guzzler.
It's a guzzler lah. Okay.
Yes, guzzler.
For a full tank, right now this bike has a 17-liter tank. Okay, 17-liter tank. Alright. So for a full tank, I think on the average, let's say once in a while, inline 4, once in a while you need to open the throttle. So I can get only the best out of it is 250 click. Right.
I see.
That's the best right. But on the average, let's say 220 230 lah.
I see.
It doesn't matter how far, how you whack the bike or what lah.
Yeah,
That is the range.
no choice lah, because one thing, the characteristics of inline 4, right, once a week or what, you have to really open up the throttle lah. Otherwise, if we call it the leisure riding then the bike will be, the Malay they call it semput lah.
Okay, so it's safe to say that this bike you cannot, how to say, really ride relax. Once in a while
correct.
you must whack.
You must open up lah. Then you can feel the power of it lah. Yeah. So consumption wise is about I can say 220 to 230 lah for full tank.
So it's really not advisable to use this bike to do any dispatch delivery jobs, huh?
Better don't.
Maybe go through and from work.
I mean, but because of this bike is already not in production, so most likely we are not going to see this bike anymore. It's going to be a very rare bike.
Yeah.
So you can see a lot of riders do deliveries on all types of motorbike, right? Even just now I saw one guy doing on XADV.
Yeah, my dream bike.
I've also came across a guy. I mean, he ever did Grab food delivery using a BMW GS.
Oh, I see before also. I see before also. I don't know. I don't comment lah.
I was thinking like, wow,
No, not only GS, S1000 also got.
seriously
Really.
Yeah.
Maybe that one I don't know if I need extra cash or what.
Okay, bro. So far, what have you done to accessorize your bike?
Okay. To be honest with you, throughout, I've just only maintained the bike in terms of the engine lah. Alright, accessories wise, I mean whatever that you guys are seeing here, sliders, the custom fairing, the long bar, okay, the brace, all this actually is all from my previous
Previous
guy.
owner really
Wants sayang this bike,
Yeah, one thing, because he told me lah previously before he did this Tron thing so this bike he dressed up as those Iron Man team
Oh, I see.
So you know what's the guy's name, Hafiz if you're watching this video see right, this is your previous baby lah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still good in good condition.
Take care. But in terms of accessories wise, aftermarket parts,
Bit difficult
widely available? Oh, don't have.
Be difficult lah. One, because even if you go to places like those common places to get your accessories wise, all this they will say GSR GSR GSX From there really okay lah.
But this bike uncommon in the first place so I'm not surprised.
So a bit difficult lah. So and I got to know that for GSR in terms of parts wise it's going to be quite tough moving forward getting in. That is the downside to it lah, because the bike is no longer in production. Not many people using it.
So Brother Roham, how about any issues with the bike so far? In your 2 years of using it, or maybe the previous owner, he got say to you any issues, common issues?
This bike, one thing can say problem wise alright, major issues be it I mean the previous owner already ever did the top overhaul, all this alright. So when the bike came to me, right, I just like going through. So in terms of wear and tear, things like spark plugs, oil filter, and just regularly changing the chain, all this. I'm just basically just maintaining it alright. And so far
during your ownership, there's no
issues at all with the bike Still good as ever. But yeah, one thing,
not bad for a dinosaur bike.
that's right. So I can say that I'm quite blessed that throughout this period there's no need for me to really spend so much on this bike Okay,
quite true.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't give you much problem. It's just that the wear and tear, that's all Then this bike, characteristics. Earlier we were talking about consumption, right? Right. Okay. It won't accept anything less than 98.
Have you?
I've tried.
You tried 95?
I tried 95 or 5,000, all this. If the bike can talk, the bike will talk to you and say, "You crazy."
Basically, no power lah.
The really very though there's no power, you feel the bike so heavy. So
You know that, man.
He cannot. you know, for my bike lah, I can only really say this for my this motorbike lah. Right, for other people's bike, I'm not too sure about that. So it runs consistently on 98 okay, or 8,000.
So like what Malay say this bike terima air sedap only lah.
You give Sky Juice, the fella say good luck to you. Habis lah, you know. But you only want like nice air sedap lah.
How often do you do your maintenance and how much usually do you spend?
Strictly 3 months.
Strictly
Right,
3 months.
I don't go beyond that 3 months, or even sometimes before 3 months. Right, I always make it a point to send my bike in for the servicing lah. And throughout, I've been sending this bike to actually the previous owner recommended me to this guy lah. His name is Faiz. His workshop is somewhere in Woodlands. I don't know, maybe some of you ever heard of his. I can say that he's Bengkel Senpai. Don't know
Bengkel
whether-
Senpai.
Faiz.
Okay.
So he as a previous GSR rider. So basically he knows the inside out of this bike lah. Yeah. And for this bike also, he ever did the throttle body cleaning, all this kind of thing. So throughout all this while, Faiz has been the one like more or less looking after this bike.
The next owner to this bike, if you are going to buy over this bike, you know where to send.
Then as what you mentioned, that unfortunately because I'm letting go of this bike. Okay, why? Okay, of course, with a very heavy heart, like I say, I want to keep this bike actually. Right, but I can't afford. Really, it's going to be very taxing on me. So that's why I'm letting go of this bike.
So how much do you intending to sell?
Actually, really, I really struck a deal with.
Okay.
With
Okay. So seems we already have a buyer.
I really struck a deal with the shop lah. Yeah, and I apparently that because this bike, one thing, I have to be very honest lah. Even if I go to any shops out there, they say Suzuki GSR wah, this one very
also the
difficult
one.
lah. They say very difficult lah, very difficult lah. So there's no seller bargaining on my part lah. Yeah, so it's only this one place that they quoted me can say a reasonable price, this and that. So I'm trading in this bike for another one.
Well, at least you got a chance to ride it lah.
Yeah lah.
Even
Yeah.
though it's 2 years, at least something lah.
Yeah. So it's okay lah. Yeah.
How far have you gone with this bike? I mean, have you been touring out of the?
Unfortunately, actually I wanted to do more things lah. For like these two guys they went to with you know, Thailand, all this I always aim that far lah. But with my bike, this bike, fortunately I never got the chance to do so. And furthermore, to make things worse because of the COVID situation.
But go JB pump petrol?
That one of course lah, bro. That one,
okay lah.
that one is like mesti a must
Yeah lah, I mean, because some people actually, we know some riders, they actually owns big bikes that
Never
does not even step out of JB to pump petrol.
That one defeat the purpose. I mean, sorry lah. My own view is that if you riding this kind of bike, you know, touring bike, especially all this, then you're not utilizing the bike to its fullest potential.
Yes, true. Correct.
Right? If you want to ride just a motorbike within here Singapore, then might as well just get a
Class 2A,
Class 2E or even a 2B bike. You know, nowadays I see so many nice 2B bikes around, this and that.
True. But you have been to Melaka, KL or anywhere?
Just no lah. Melaka and KL with this bike no lah. My previous bike yes but this one I think within the borders of Johor.
Don't worry lah.
Okay.
You bike,
No
insyaAllah.
problem.
Yeah.
InsyaAllah.
Once the borders are open,
Yeah.
You hope so
then-
too lah. Brother Norham, you got final question for you.
Yeah.
What's the best memory you have with the GSR 400?
Wow, best memory
Because you talk, you seem you love this bike so much.
Yes,
No.
it seems
Yeah.
you know from your tone of your voice, from loud, soft, it seems that you have so much emotional attachment to the bike.
okay.
You know.
This bike, one thing, I don't know about you guys. I talk to my motorbike.
Well, I call her Hidayah. So
I sing to my motorbike. I sing
yes,
to my
yes.
motorbike.
I sing. Okay. I call her actually Bluebird.
Bluebird.
Oh,
Bluebird.
Okay, lah, better than Hidayah lah.
Bluebird. So previous owner used to call, it's a she. He used to call Shasha. I say Shasha. Shasha. Very very misleading. So I changed to Bluebird lah. So one thing, okay, yes, it's like a relationship lah. Okay, that I share my so-called like special kind of feelings. Sometimes when you are happy, when you are sad, when you are up, when you are down, all this.
Yes,
So
true.
to me, like, this bike has constantly been with me throughout my ups and downs.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So that's why it has the special bonding lah. I mean, with my previous bikes they just come and go lah. Say I don't like you already. Okay, go lah.
So this one really has
correct.
emotional attachment to this.
Correct. Yeah, so that's why, because I relate a lot of things to this bike also lah. Yeah, even though the bike was not able to, that's why I'm quite blessed that throughout this period, she never gave me he or she.
So this is a she or a he?
Gender neutral.
Bluebird is
No gender.
I mean, for me, from the looks,
It's a he.
I see a she. I see a he.
I also see a
it's a he.
Yeah.
Because very garang, like Hulk,
yeah, it's a he lah actually lah.
It's a he,
But as what they Malay say hati ada taman lah bro.
In the heart, got the garden.
There's a lot of flowers in the heart. So but then again lah, I keep on like lately I've been like talking to him lah. I've been talking to him that if I were to keep you, I don't think that I'm able to give what's best for you lah. So this is like a separation lah,
Kesiannya.
So,
Touching.
Okay, so Brother Nurham, what's your words of advice for the next owner of Bluebird right here?
Okay, alright. Let's say should there be any potential buyers out there, okay, especially for this bike, alright, okay, just you don't need to do much to it, right? Just take care of its normal diet, okay, your petrol, your your servicing, all this.
Yes.
I can tell you that this bike will serve you
Very well.
very well lah. Alright, ride with passion, talk to him, talk to him nicely, don't scold. Right, yes.
So, Brother Nurham, thank you so much for sharing, your GSR 400 Bluebird with us. The
Yes.
story on how you got it.
Very touching story.
Very touching.
Very touching story. I've never, of all the
Bike
bike reviews we have done before, this one I think has so much emotional attachment, to that compared to the previous bike. It is a good chance for us to actually get to know about this bike model, which no more in production.
Yeah, very obscure.
Very obscure, very rare.
Okay, so any experienced riders, we're looking for experienced riders who want to review their bikes with us, to get in touch with us on our social media pages below.
And don't forget to like, share and subscribe.
And Brother Nurham, thank you so much
Right,
once
thank
again
you, thank you.
for approaching us to share your ride once again. And that's it for the vlog, and we'll see you next one.
Alright.
Awesome.